The biggest problem facing downtown Vegas right now isn't the price of a drink. It's the feeling you get walking down the street after dark. A wave of negative experiences is quietly erasing decades of goodwill. But is this emerging atmosphere of fear a random spike in crime, or the predictable result of gutting the very services that once made downtown feel alive and safe? In this video, we will connect the dots between corporate cost-cutting and the decay of the visitor experience. What specific budget cut directly led to the crisis visitors are facing today? We will analyze the data, follow the money trail, and expose how downtown Vegas transformed from America's most vibrant street party into a cautionary tale about prioritizing profits over people. When downtown was the heart of Vegas. Downtown Las Vegas once represented the authentic soul of Sin City. Before the mega resorts dominated the Strip, Fremont Street was where visitors and locals alike experienced the true essence of Vegas. The neon signs, the classic casinos, the intimate gambling halls. This was where Vegas began, and for decades it remained the beating heart of the city's identity. In the early 1990s, facing competition from the increasingly luxurious Strip, downtown reinvented itself with the Fremont Street experience. This massive overhead light show created a pedestrian mall that transformed 5 blocks into an open-air entertainment zone. The vision was clear: create a uniquely immersive environment that the corporate Strip could not replicate. And for years, it worked beautifully. The canopy of lights, free concerts, street performers, and distinctively gritty charm created an atmosphere that felt authentic in ways the polished Strip never could. Visitors described it as the real Vegas, a place where you could find $5 tables, cheap drinks, and a sense that anything could happen. Longtime visitors like Mark Jenkins, who has been coming to Vegas annually since 1987, recall that downtown had this electric energy, completely different from the Strip. You would see all walks of life mixing together. The drinks were cheap, the dealers knew your name, and there was this sense of community. It felt safe but exciting, like you were part of something special. The area thrived because it understood its identity. While the Strip sold fantasy, downtown sold authenticity. While the Strip isolated visitors in the self-contained resorts, downtown created a communal street party that connected people. The balance between commercial interests and visitor experience seemed perfectly calibrated. This golden era lasted well into the 2000s. Downtown was not just surviving, it was evolving in ways that respected its heritage while innovating for the future. The opening of venues like the Downtown Cocktail Room and the Griffin showed that the area could offer sophisticated experiences while maintaining its gritty charm. The systematic breakdown. But somewhere around 2015, something fundamental began to shift. The data tells a disturbing story of steady decline in both safety and visitor experience. Let's break down what the numbers reveal. According to Metro Police statistics, calls for service in the downtown area have increased by nearly 34% since 2019. More specifically, reports of aggravated assault rose 23% year over year in 2023, while petty theft incidents jumped by an alarming 41% in the same period. Public intoxication calls doubled between 2021 and 2023. These are not just abstract statistics. They represent real incidents affecting real visitors. The average tourist now has a significantly higher chance of witnessing or experiencing some form of disturbance during their visit than just 5 years ago. But the data only tells part of the story. The physical infrastructure of downtown has suffered from systematic neglect. While the Strip has seen over $15 billion in new developments and renovations in the past decade, downtown's investment has been a fraction of that, barely $800 million, much of it concentrated in a handful of properties. Walk down Fremont Street today, and the signs of deterioration are impossible to ignore. Cracked sidewalks, malfunctioning light displays, outdated casino interiors, and insufficient public facilities create an environment that feels increasingly neglected. The contrast between the gleaming modernity of the Strip and the fading appeal of downtown has never been starker. Perhaps most significantly, there has been a dramatic reduction in the services that once made downtown feel secure and well-maintained. In 2018, The Fremont Street experience employed 32 full-time security personnel patrolling the pedestrian mall. By 2023, despite increased visitor numbers, that number had dropped to just 14, a 56% reduction in visible security presence. Security is noticeably down. Similarly, the budget for street cleaning and maintenance has been cut by 38% since 2019, according to public records from the Downtown Vegas Alliance. Where cleaning crews once worked around the clock to maintain the area's appearance, they are now primarily concentrated during daytime hours, leaving the nighttime environment, when most visitors arrive, noticeably less maintained. Cleaning and maintenance have been scaled back. The timeline of decline correlates directly with specific decisions made by property owners and management entities. In 2019, several major downtown casinos consolidated their security operations, reducing overall coverage by nearly 25%. In 2020, citing pandemic-related financial pressure, the Fremont Street experience slashed its entertainment budget by 60%, a cut that was never fully restored even after tourism rebounded. And in 2021, the downtown project, once focused on revitalization, pivoted to focus primarily on profit-generating ventures rather than community improvements. Following the money. To understand why downtown Vegas has declined so dramatically, we need to follow the money trail. The financial decisions made by key stakeholders reveal a disturbing prioritization of short-term profits over long-term sustainability. Let's examine the numbers. According to financial disclosures from major downtown casino operators, the average operational expense ratio for security and maintenance dropped from 12% of revenue in 2015 to just 4.7% by 2023. Meanwhile, marketing budgets remained relatively constant at around 15% of revenue. In other words, companies continued spending to attract visitors while drastically reducing spending on the experience once they arrived. This is not just poor management, it is a deliberate strategy. By maintaining marketing efforts while cutting operational expenses, downtown properties have attempted to maximize profit margins during the post-pandemic recovery period. The math is simple, but devastating. Each percentage point reduction in operational expenses translates to millions in additional profit, at least in the short term. The competitive dynamics with the Strip have accelerated this troubling trend. As Strip properties doubled down on luxury amenities and family-friendly attractions, downtown operators faced a choice: invest heavily to compete directly or cut costs to maintain profit margins. Most chose the latter, creating a downward spiral of diminishing experience and declining visitor quality. Parking access provides a perfect case study in how profit-seeking has undermined the visitor experience. Before 2016, most downtown casinos offered free parking to encourage visitation. Today, nearly every garage charges fees, with some as high as $30 per day. These parking revenues generate an estimated $18 to $25 million annually for downtown properties, a significant revenue stream created entirely at the expense of visitor convenience. The entertainment landscape tells a similar story. While the Strip has continuously introduced new shows, attractions, and experiences, downtown's entertainment offerings have stagnated. The last major new attraction in the Fremont Street area was the Slotzilla zipline, which opened in 2014. Since then, investment has focused primarily on renovating existing gambling spaces, rather than creating new reasons to visit. Perhaps most tellingly, financial records show that downtown casino operators have increased their dividend payments to shareholders by an average of 27% since 2019, despite the obvious deterioration of the visitor environment. This transfer of wealth from operational investment to shareholder returns exemplifies the dividends-driven prioritization of financial extraction over sustainable business practices. The voice of experience. The statistics and financial analysis paint a clear picture, but to truly understand the crisis downtown Vegas faces, we need to hear from those who have experienced it firsthand. The testimonials from recent visitors create an overwhelming consensus that something fundamental has changed, and not for the better. Sarah Kleinhans visited Vegas annually for over a decade. She says her 2023 trip to Fremont Street will be her last. She remembers that it used to be her favorite part of Vegas. Authentic, exciting, a bit rough around the edges, but in a good way. This time, It felt dangerous. We left by 10 p.m. because the atmosphere was so uncomfortable. There were fights breaking out, people harassing us for money, and barely any security in sight. This sentiment echoes across hundreds of recent online reviews. On TripAdvisor, the Fremont Street Experience's rating has fallen from 4.5 stars in 2018 to just 3.1 stars in 2023. The most common complaints cite safety concerns, particularly after dark, and an overwhelming presence of aggressive panhandlers and individuals exhibiting unpredictable behavior. Social media tells an even more immediate story. Twitter mentions of downtown Vegas associated with words like unsafe, scary, or avoid it have increased by 218% since 2021, according to social listening data. Viral videos of altercations on Fremont Street regularly accumulate millions of views, creating a perception problem that further damages the area's appeal. Local residents provide crucial context to these visitor experiences. Maria Gonzalez, who has lived near downtown for 15 years, explains that the homeless situation has become completely unmanageable. These are human beings who need help, but the city and the casinos keep cutting resources for outreach and services. So where do these people go? Right to where the tourists are. It is a humanitarian crisis that is also becoming a tourism crisis. Business owners in the area have been sounding the alarm for years. James Morrissey owns a small gift shop just off Fremont Street and reports that his foot traffic has declined by over 30% since 2019. The tourists simply are not staying as long or wandering as much as they used to. They come, they do the zip line, or watch the light show, and they leave. They do not feel comfortable exploring anymore, and that is killing businesses like mine that depend on people spending an entire evening downtown. The impact on employees is equally concerning. Casino workers report increasing concerns about their safety during late shifts. One cocktail server who asked to remain anonymous said that they have worked downtown for 8 years and have never felt as unsafe as they do now, walking to their car after work. They say they have begged management for security escorts and for better parking lot surveillance, but management says it is not in the budget. The peak of the problem. Downtown Vegas now faces a perfect storm of challenges that threaten its very identity as a tourist destination. The homeless crisis stands at the center of this storm, not because unhoused individuals are inherently dangerous, but because the failure to provide adequate services has created an unsustainable situation for everyone involved. On any given night, outreach workers estimate that between 200 and 300 unhoused individuals are present in the immediate downtown tourist corridor. This concentration has increased substantially since 2021, when the city reduced funding for homeless services by 18% despite rising need. Simultaneously, several downtown casinos terminated their financial support for local shelters and outreach programs. The human toll is devastating. Without adequate mental health services, addiction treatment, or housing options, many unhoused individuals face their struggles in full public view. This creates uncomfortable interactions with tourists who are unprepared for such encounters during their vacation. This visibility has directly impacted visitor behavior. According to cell phone tracking data, the average tourist now spends just 2.3 hours in the downtown area, down from 4.1 hours in 2018. More concerning, repeat visitation has plummeted. While 64% of Vegas visitors included downtown in their itinerary in 2018, only 41% did so in 2023. The economic impact ripples throughout the entire downtown ecosystem. Smaller businesses that depend on tourist overflow from the main Fremont Street corridor have been hit hardest. Since 2021, at least 28 small businesses in the downtown area have closed permanently, citing decreased foot traffic and safety concerns. Even major casinos are feeling the effects. While they do not publicly release property-specific performance, industry analysts estimate that downtown gambling revenue has underperformed the Strip by approximately 14% since 2019 when adjusted for capacity. This underperformance directly threatens future investment, and it could accelerate the downward spiral. Perhaps most concerning is the cultural loss. Downtown Vegas once represented the authentic heart of Sin City, a place where visitors could experience something real amid the fantasy of the Strip. That distinct identity is being eroded, replaced by an environment that feels neither authentic nor safe. It is becoming a place without a clear purpose or appeal beyond cheaper gambling than the Strip. And even that advantage is diminishing as operational cuts affect the overall experience. The crisis in downtown Vegas didn't happen overnight, and it won't be solved with superficial solutions. Addressing the root causes requires acknowledging the direct connection between budget cuts and the deteriorating visitor experience. The evidence clearly shows that the decline began with specific operational decisions: reducing security personnel, cutting maintenance budgets, eliminating community outreach programs, and minimizing investment in new attractions. Any effective solution must reverse these cuts and recognize that a vibrant, safe downtown benefits all stakeholders. Other cities provide instructive models. Detroit's downtown revitalization included the creation of a special assessment district where businesses contributed to enhanced security and maintenance services. Within 3 years, pedestrian traffic increased by 25%, and commercial occupancy rates rose from 78% to 94%. San Antonio's Riverwalk demonstrates how consistent investment in public spaces creates sustainable tourism appeal. By allocating 7% of tourism revenue directly back into maintenance and security, they have maintained a safe, clean environment that attracts over 14 million visitors annually. For downtown Vegas to recover, several specific investments are essential. First, security presence must be dramatically increased, particularly during evening hours. The current ratio of security personnel to visitors during peak times is approximately 1 to 1,200. Experts recommend at least 1 to 400 for effective coverage in entertainment districts. Second, homeless outreach programs need substantial funding increases. Rather than pushing unhoused individuals from one area to another, evidence-based approaches combining immediate shelter with long-term housing solutions and mental health services have proven effective in cities like Houston and Columbus. Third, the visitor environment requires significant physical improvements. From basic infrastructure, like lighting and sidewalk repairs, to new attractions that give people reasons to visit beyond gambling, downtown needs a comprehensive reinvestment strategy. Fourth, accessibility issues must be addressed. Restoring free or affordable parking options would immediately increase visitation, as would improved public transportation connections between the Strip and downtown. The responsibility for these changes falls on multiple stakeholders. Casino operators must recognize that continued cost-cutting ultimately threatens their core business. The City of Las Vegas needs to prioritize downtown's unique needs in its budget allocations, and the Fremont Street Experience Management must return to its original mission of creating a vibrant, safe entertainment district, rather than simply maximizing revenue from existing assets. Downtown Vegas stands at a critical crossroads. What was once America's most vibrant street party has become a cautionary tale about the consequences of prioritizing short-term profits over long-term sustainability. The atmosphere of fear currently permeating the area didn't emerge randomly. It is the direct result of systematic disinvestment in the very services that once made downtown feel alive and safe. The corporations operating in downtown Vegas made a clear choice. They chose quarterly profits over visitor experience. They chose shareholder dividends over community investment. They chose cost-cutting over creating value. And now, both visitors and locals are paying the price for these decisions. This decline wasn't inevitable. It wasn't caused by forces beyond anyone's control. It was the predictable outcome of a business strategy that treats visitors as disposable revenue sources, rather than the lifeblood of a sustainable tourism ecosystem. Downtown Vegas could once again become the authentic heart of Sin City, but only if those with power and resources commit to placing people before profits. The alternative is continued decline until the area becomes little more than a cautionary tale about how to destroy decades of goodwill in pursuit of short-term financial gains. They chose profits over your safety, and now you're paying the price with a destroyed experience. You deserve better than being treated like a disposable revenue stream. If you're tired of corporations ruining the places we love, hit that like button, subscribe for more exposés that put your interests first, and tell us in the comments, what's the worst downtown Vegas experience you've witnessed? Your voice matters.